Hi, friends of the Buffalo Naval Park. Shane Stevenson here on a Labor Day edition. I hope you're enjoying your day off. Um, I have a day off tomorrow, so but it's been a really busy and exciting weekend here, and this is kind of our wrap up of summertime. Right, as with it in many instances, kids are getting ready to go back to school, and so this is where we see a lessening of the critical mass of people, say, during the week. We will still be pretty busy on the weekends through September, through October, but that period now during the week where we might see 200, 250 people a day during the week, that pretty much goes away. Hey, Silent Service, how are you? Silent Service Gaming and Music. Nice to see you. And again, happy Labor Day to everybody. I wanted to come in. I know haven't been doing much on YouTube. We've just been quite busy. Let's see, we had the Black Lions here this weekend. That's a Vietnam reenactor group. That was really, they said they got a lot of people. And so there was about 9 of the guys here showing off equipment, what life would have been like in Vietnam. And they really saw a lot of people, which they really enjoyed, and we enjoyed having them here. They were here last year. So we're going to try to make that an annual event, the Black Lion Vietnam Reenactor Group, coming every Labor Day weekend. So there's planning for that. Probably the biggest thing. Hi, everyone. Hi, Hoist. Hey, Doug. Oh, yeah, Alan. If he's from Rochester, that's who we're talking about. So thank you, Doug, for saying hi. But really what I wanted to focus on was what we'll be doing heading into kind of the off season. Stephen and I have been talking again. Our videos on YouTube, we're just not doing enough of them because there's so much stuff that we have to do, and then to get the videos ready and all of that, the research, the prep work. So I'll talk a little bit about that. But let me see if I can do this right. Let's see. All right, hopefully you guys are seeing this. All right, this is the 75th United States Secretary of the Navy, Ray Mabus. He served aboard a ship for 2 years, and that ship happened to be the USS Little Rock. And there's his photo, and he loves talking about his beard at the time that he had. And he was on board on Saturday for about 6 hours, which was really nice. He had brought his wife, Lynn, aboard for the first time. And he seems to come to Buffalo, which is fabulous. He seems to come every couple of years, 2 to 3 years. He was here for the commissioning of the USS Little Rock LCS 9. As Secretary of the Navy, you have the right to name ships. And so that's why he brought back with a vengeance the USS Little Rock, based on the namesake of his 2 years on board a ship. It happened to be CLG-4. So I hope that's working, if you can see the photograph of him. All right. Hope that worked. I couldn't tell. If not, you can look him up and find Ray Mabus beard. That seems to be, if you didn't see the photograph. So in addition, he comes aboard 1970 to 72. After leaving, he goes to Harvard Law. In 1988, he becomes governor of Mississippi, where he's from. Solicitor General, if I'm getting his career path right. Then governor, and from one-term governor of Mississippi from 1988 to 1992. Then becomes Clinton's ambassador to Saudi Arabia, a pretty serious post, from 94 to 96. And then Secretary of the Navy from 2009 to 2017. So President Obama's full 2 terms, he's the Secretary of the Navy, with the right to name ships, among thousands of other things, of course. So it's very interesting when we piped him off and belled him off of the ship as he disembarked. We said Navy departing. So that was a pretty special moment, and we did spend about 6 hours with him. We brought him up into the admiral's quarters, which he had not seen since we redid it. Talked about all the good work that's going on here. And thanks for saying it worked, everybody. I appreciate that. And so we gave him and his wife some lunch. In the admiral's quarters, we reviewed, we created a PowerPoint, and I presented some of the work that's been going on. And he was a Lieutenant JG comm officer, so he spent a lot of time in the bridge. So, of course, we went up to the pilot house and also to Radio Central, which he did spend some time in. Radio Central was the video that I did with the TTY repair, right? With all the banks, all the teletype machines are gone. But if you saw that video, where all the mounts are and the bracketing for them, but they're just not there anymore. So, of course, he's telling story after story as well, and some of his relationship with the other officers on board. One of the interesting things, now he served under 2 captains, Captain Little and Captain Nagler. Captain Nagler, when they were in the Mediterranean, they were getting buzzed as we were buzzing Russian ships. We were getting buzzed by those Tu-95s, the Bears, the Russian Bears, the Tupolovs. And so what Nagler did, one of the stories he regaled us with, was what Nagler did as captain was he had a box built on top of the missile house, and he posted 2 sailors there. And whenever they were buzzed by a Russian bear, they quickly tarped it to kind of throw the Russians off to that maybe the USS Little Rock is carrying something quite classified and quite important. So that's one of the stories that he regaled us with. So again, took him up to Radio Central, took him up to the pilot house, and just listened to stories and him engaging with his wife, and she seemed pretty happy with the visit. They were then going on to Cooperstown, New York, because one of the ships he also named was the USS Cooperstown, another LCS 23, I believe, named after Cooperstown, New York, for the Baseball Hall of Fame. But more specifically, I think he said there were 35 members of the Baseball Hall of Fame who were veterans. And so that ship is named in honor of all those 35 men from the Civil War up until today. So it was great to have him on board. We talked to him about the Sullivans, some of our challenges with the money, and he said he would step in where we asked him to. So that's really nice to have an ally like the Secretary of the Navy on our side. And he seemed really pleased with his visit and the work that we're doing on board, specifically with the Little Rock. All right, that was his ship anyway. He still wants me to return his stateroom. In 1984, it was converted into the Polish room, the Polish Armed Forces exhibit. And he says, when are you going to convert my stateroom back to my stateroom? So we'll see what happens with that. So great visit. He's a friend of the park, and we're happy to have him. One of the other things, if you watch the video, I was doing cleaning some tiling off of the Sullivans. All right, with the Sullivan's Memorial Compartment and the wardroom, and removing all of the concrete and all of the tiling. And I had mentioned that we believe that there was some red, right, tiles that were down below the gray ones that you may have watched in that video. So Andrew Biondo, or caretaker of the Sullivans, did bring me up a piece of red tiling. All right, so I'm going to be gently cleaning that, and then putting this and sealing it away and putting it in the collections. I still will probably, once we retile, I'll go with that gray with the blue splatters in it and marks in it. But it's nice to have the red, because if obviously, if it's down below the gray, it's earlier in her service. Again, the kid and the cast and young have been very helpful, and now we are returning the favor. We've developed a great back and forth. Hey, I've got a question about this. We've got a question about that. And so there's something from Tim from the USS Kids sitting in my email now that I've got to get to at some point. Thank you, Teresa. Yes, you had met him. He is a very nice guy, and his wife was very nice to meet as well. So yeah, the tiling, I'll be doing some cleaning to that. Now, Stephen and I have also been talking, as I just mentioned, the YouTube stuff. We are really pulled in so many different directions. It's hard to keep an actual schedule. So starting in November, we are really going to be expanding, now that when the season winds down, we are really going to be expanding out our, not just the amount of videos, but the content of the videos. All right, Stephen's going to be focusing a little bit more on non-naval history and famous Western New Yorkers or famous Americans, and creating films and videos about those individuals, while I'll still focus on the ships and naval history. So we're trying to bank about 70 videos through November and December. And we've also talked about bringing back the infamous 28 and 28 that I did 2 years ago. No, last year, and I believe it was 2022, I did a video a day for the month of February. And so we plan on doing that as well for this coming February, which at the time then it would have been 2 years. So kind of be on the lookout for that, a video every day for the month of February. And then so you'll start seeing videos that are not related potentially to our ships. We feel that that's okay, that will bring in new people. And hopefully you guys and gals will enjoy that as well. So he wants to do, just right off the top, he wanted to do one on Eli Parker, who was a Western New Yorker on the staff of General Grant, and wrote the surrender document between Grant and Lee. And he was a Native American from Western New York. So that's the type of thing. He does want to do one on the Battle of Lake Erie, which is the 100th, not 100th, the anniversary on the 10th of September next weekend. So he and I will be doing a video about that. So just giving you that information, and the 28 and 28. Yeah. So our season after today will probably begin to slow down a little bit during the week. That might give us a little more time. Though if you saw my office, you will understand how many collections I actually have to process. And continue along with the photographic collection. Got to have a really nice bank of 3 to 4 volunteers that are here typically every weekend. And they're doing a lot of work with me and for me to get all of these collections processed. Hi, Doug. Oh, Battleship Wisconsin. Awesome. I hope you enjoy it. Look for our 5-inch, look for our Mark 48 gun computer. All right. We've talked about that. Ryan from Battleship New Jersey, when he was here, talked about that as well. You might find that Mark 48. Or the stable element for our Mark 1 for the 5-inch gun from the USS Little Rock. Appreciate that. Silent Service Gaming Music. I could do a video about Fram. That's a great topic. Please, if you have topics, I'm going to put that in my little notebook here. Because yeah, with all of these videos, we have to come up with a nice topic list too. So Fram changeovers for Cold War. I like that. Thanks, Jolie. I appreciate it. So there'll be a little blending of other videos and stuff. So we're going to be open through October, every day into October, and then for the first about 2 or 3 weekends in November, typically then we're just open in November, and then we close for the season right around Thanksgiving or the week of Thanksgiving. I have one last curator tour that I do on that Black Friday for visitors and family members who come home for Thanksgiving to try and capture them. And that's obviously on that Friday. and then that's it. So if you're in town and you want to do a curator tour in the cold, typically I remember last year we were just closed. So it's just me and the people on the curator tour. There's no other staff here because everyone's off for Thanksgiving. So that's kind of spooky and fun. We are talking about doing maybe 1 or 2 days in the wintertime, maybe uh, a holiday get together on board that we would open up to the public, things like that. But obviously, the survivability plan of the Sullivans is the big thing for this winter. I've given you updates about that in the past. And yeah, and continuing to try to raise money. Now now that we've talked to SecNav Mabus, we hope we can rustle his support in any way that he can support us for that. And I don't want to belabor anything. I hope you've enjoyed this. Talos first. Oh, thank you, Teresa. Okay, I will put that down. Talos first Terrier and Tartar. I can do that. Talos Terrier Tartar. I'm so weird. Talos Terrier Tartar. All right. And maybe just the evolution of the Talos missile. All right. We will be releasing sometime soon. We've got good news about a Talos missile. And so I'll be doing a video about that as we get closer to that date in later September. Getting ready for the HINZA conference in Albany this year. So that's again in a couple of weeks. And okay. Thanks for joining us as always. This Friday, I'm releasing a video about the 100th anniversary, which is why I said 100th anniversary earlier, of the Honda Point disaster. That was the 8th of September, 1923. And so I'll be talking a little bit about that. So that video will go up. And then Stephen will be doing one on the Battle of Lake Erie for the War of 1812 with our buddy OHP. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate your support as always. I hope to do one or two more videos throughout the week. And as things begin to slow down a little bit, should have more time to do that. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you watching.